What's going on, YouTube? I'm AJ. This is my gun review. Today, we're going to be discussing Infiniti. Specifically, this model that was part of a batch release earlier this year, Calvin's Cherry. Now, I've been fortunate in that I've owned one Infiniti and shot several others. And generally speaking, I consider Infiniti the king of the 2011 market space. Something akin to the Ferrari of 2011s. Now, that's not to say outright the best. As some of you know, I don't consider any one brand in the 2011 market space to have a monopoly on what is the best. The best tends to fall more into an individual needs case and a set of features. But when it comes to discussing the best, Infiniti is always going to be in that conversation. The other thing to remember with Infiniti is they've been around since the beginning of the 2011. You had STI, Strayer Trip, and you had SVI, Strayer Voigt. And company-wise, they took slightly different paths. STI being more production-based, more affordable, and SVI being the creme de la creme in the custom competition market space. And the reason why I say that they're always in that conversation is the build quality is always solid, and they're always top-notch shooters regardless of the configuration. Now, this gun today, Calvin's Cherry, is particularly special. We have a 5-inch overall length consisting of a 4.5-inch barrel with a 1/2-inch cheek buster. We have a titanium frame with a titanium grip module and a ported island barrel. What it makes is a gun that weighs about the same as a steel frame gun with an aluminum grip module, but it's much better balanced because of the equal weight distribution because of the same material. Now, something to note with Infinitis that I haven't seen discussed on other channels is they're unique in how they feel. When getting into the high-end firearm space, Atlas tends to have a more familiar feel that may be more appealing to a lot of people, at least when fondling the gun at, say, a gun store counter. Whereas Infinitis have a little bit tougher, more robust feel, no less refined, but at least worth discussing, which we'll do in the tabletop portion. So, without further ado, let's head over there and take a look. So, I don't get too crazy about presentation cases and boxes, as they usually just sit in my safe, or I tend to side with the Les Bear side of things and would just as soon have them ship it in a cardboard box. But I want to take a second to show this particular case, as the presentation is exquisite. A 2011 fit for a show gun. So looking at this gun a little bit closer, you can see we have the cheek buster, about 1/2 inch in overall length. It's actually quite sharp. Obviously, it's a feature that's not going to be for everyone. From a practical value, do you need a cheek buster? I don't know. Have you ever muzzle checked somebody with a pistol? Maybe you do. But it's a titanium piece, and it's connected to the frame separate from the barrel. The barrel itself is a 4.5-inch ported island barrel. It has Infiniti's ports, which go in line with the rifling and come out at slight angles. Now, in my experience, they're not the most effective ports, and part of that, I think, is just due to volume of them. Previously, I've suggested a 6-port design. They felt like that'd be a little bit too much, so they passed on the suggestion. So while they do work, it's pretty conservative. The island barrel is very well done and integrated, especially on this example. The serration design provides good traction. Tri-top slide. Moving back to the plate, it is a direct mount. The SRO is absolutely buried. You can't get an SRO any lower than that. And it's supported front and back. This particular gun has no backup iron sights. The finish is DLC. You can see the frame is titanium, and it has this flower or leaf design, like cherry blossom, hence the name. And how this is done is using different levels of polish before applying the DLC finish. Personally, I think it makes for just the nicest finish in the business, and it was applied on the magwell as well. Now, as far as negatives go, the slide stop might be the worst in the business. There's no undercut, the paddle's small. Infiniti is a competition company where slide stops are a bit of an afterthought, and my God, they went out of their way to show it on this. It's a useless design. Thumb safety is a area of particular note on Infinitis. They tend to be a little bit more stubborn than on other brands, especially out of the box on a new one. Now this gun has a few thousand rounds through it. This example's not bad, but it's worth noting. As far as the paddle itself, it's well dehorned, and it's very narrow on the base portion itself, so it doesn't create any hot spots when you're gripping the gun. Also, with the ledge, there's just enough area in here for your thumb to sit without being caught by the slide. The beaver tail is pinned. It's also polished, which gives an excellent feel in the hand. And of course, it's blended perfectly. The grip module on this piece is titanium. And this is Infiniti's signature grip module, which is ergonomically enhanced, so you have a slight raised back strap. For me, this is one of the best grip modules in the business. I'd put it in my top 4, along with the Atlas Alpha, Chile E2, and the Phoenix Trinity Evo. Texturing is well done. It's not particularly aggressive, but I never found it to be slippery either. And, a big perk, the texture actually goes high enough up on the front strap that my middle finger is getting texture and grip. So, A+ Infiniti. Magwell is big, it's well blended, very well done. Up to the mag catch, this is their teardrop mag catch. So what's interesting about it is it's actually inset into the frame. If I can get it to pick up. And that keeps it, unlike other extended mag catches, which can move about, it's fixed in place. It's an excellent design, checkered on the top, very easy to hit, very positive, correctly sprung. I think it's the best mag catch design in the business. Moving up to the trigger, the theme continues. So Infiniti triggers have a kind of unique feel to them in that they're so well fit into the frame that it just feels like it's moving in a perfect straight line. Now, you're probably thinking that's what most 2011s or 1911s do, but because they're usually fit sloppy, they don't produce that same feel. Also, Infiniti uses a lot of grease, which creates, I don't know, a unique feel. So, on this example, trigger is right about just under 2 pounds as far as pull weight, has a light, short take-up, very direct wall, crisp brake with minimal over travel. This is not a rolling brake, this is your proverbial glass rod. Reset is immediate and direct, and short brake. The other thing that's really nice about the new Infiniti triggers is the checkered front face of the design, providing that little bit of texture. It just feels phenomenal. So, one of the best triggers in the industry. Now, regarding feel, racking in Infiniti tends to be more stubborn than a lot of other high-end 1911s. Reason being, the steep ledge on the firing pin stop. Now that works in conjunction with your mainspring and your recoil spring as part of the recoil system. Some people may find that extra effort a bit off-putting, but it doesn't carry over into its shooting performance. The guns shoot beautifully, but, and of course, once the hammer is already racked, it's no longer an issue. I'll also note the gun does not have a Marvel disconnector cut, though the disconnector is well dressed. And when it comes to details, this one has the Infiniti skull logo, which I'm a big fan of. So, that is the Infiniti Calvin's Cherry.
But does it shoot? Of course it does. Amongst the best in the world. I set a new plate rack PR and a new PR on a 5x50 with this gun. The lightweight and balance made this gun a demon out of the holster, and it was beautiful on transitions. Bill drills with 18 splits were stacking rounds in a 3-inch circle. That's real return to zero. What I will say with Infiniti is they tend to be more ammo sensitive than other brands. That's not to say unreliable, as I've never had malfunctions with Infinitis, but as far as recoil impulse, they strongly prefer lighter competition loads over full power loads, which is a characteristic that's not as prevalent in Chambers and Sharon guns. Regardless, given the food it likes, I haven't been able to run anything faster. And here's my first sub 250.
So, final thoughts on this gun. If you haven't got it so far, I adore this gun. The weight, the balance, the shootability, it does everything I want a gun to do. It does it very well. Of the multiple Infinitis I've shot, this is probably in the top 2. Now, stylistically, as with all the best Infinitis, this gun might not be for everyone. And for years, that was my favorite part of Infiniti is they have the longest option sheet of anyone in the business. And depending on your taste or how good you are with drop-down menus, you could make a absolutely gorgeous firearm, or you could make the most heinous firearm you could imagine. Whatever made you happy. Now, since then, they've switched to a drop system where they're putting out batches of 10, 15 guns in set styles. And though I understand why they've done this, I'm sure it's been a very lucrative move for them. For me, it kills a lot of the charm of the company. Now, granted, you do still get the occasional drop, like this one, where the gun is very interesting and brings something unique to the market, but you also get some pretty flat drops. And personally, I like the customization options. But with all that said, again, I give this gun the highest marks. It's absolutely phenomenal. And it's just another example of why I consider Infiniti amongst the absolute best in the business. So, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.